Okay, so our first exercise is going to be for flexion movement, which is going to be V-ups. And then for form, you're going to lie on your back with your arms extended over your head and your legs straight. Then you're going to simultaneously lift your upper torso into spinal flexion and your legs and your hip flexion towards each other. You're going to reach your hands towards your feet, keeping your spine curled smoothly off the floor, avoiding excess lumbar strain by engaging your core, and then lower back down slowly with control to resist the pull of gravity and maintain spinal stability. The muscles that are being used in this are the rectus abdominis to shorten during spinal flexion, your internal and external obliques, your hip flexors, and your tensor fasciae lata and sartorius, and then it's concentric going up into the V, then eccentric going back down to lie down.
I'm going to be demonstrating the Superman holds. First, you're going to lay down prone on the floor with your arms extended and your legs straight. They're going to look down at the floor and keep a neutral spine. They're going to slowly lift their arms, chest, and legs slightly off the floor and hold. Then they're going to slowly lower themselves down. The primary muscles involved are the erector spinae, which is the concentric contraction to lift the trunk into extension, and eccentric contraction to lower that trunk back down to the floor. The primary abdomen muscles involved are transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, internal and external obliques. They're going to isometrically contract to prevent hyperextension of the trunk. They're going to resist flexion and gravity and rotation and maintaining a neutral spine. The other muscles involved are the glutes and hamstrings. They allow hip extension using concentric contraction and use eccentric contraction to lower the body.
We're doing the dumbbell side bend, aka the suitcase carriers on vacation. So you start in anatomical position with the hands at the side, and then you can pronate them slightly so that the weight, perfect. And then keep upright, resisting the pull of the dumbbell on one side, so you're remaining stationary and you're not moving, or else you fail the test. And then flex your trunk laterally, pulling the arm towards your feet, flexing your obliques and abdominal muscles for the concentric contraction. While you're aware of your hips, make sure they stay neutral. Now flex your core so you don't have, flex the side that doesn't have any weights, so you're flexing your external obliques, and which brings your body back to anatomical position. Yeah. Wait, are we saying the muscles?
Yes.
It's fine if it's still recording. Okay, next, I'll record. Okay.
So now we are doing an anti-extension exercise called the dead bug. First, you're gonna lie supine on the floor with hips and knees flexed to 90 degrees, shins parallel to the ground. Raise both arms so that they are vertical, pointing toward the ceiling or the sky. Brace your core as if pressing your lower back into the floor. This maintains a posterior pelvic tilt and prevents lumbar extension. Slowly extend your right leg toward the floor while simultaneously lowering your left arm overhead. Move only as far as you can while keeping the lower back flat. Return to the starting position with control, and then repeat on the opposite side. Continue alternating sides, keeping your breath steady and core engaged. The muscles worked in this exercise are the rectus abdominis and transverse abdominis through isometric contraction to prevent lumbar spine from arching. The internal and external obliques, isometric stabilization to keep the trunk neutral and resist unwanted rotation. The hip flexors, like the iliopsoas and the rectus femoris, they help in maintaining hip and knee flexion position. The shoulder flexors, like the anterior deltoid, to control the overhead arm motion, and the erector spinae and multifidus, with co-contraction for spinal alignment.
Okie dokie. So now, do you want to record, Michaela? Or no, one of you can record, so, and then I'll do the exercise.
Okay, next up we have the anti-flexion movement. So you're going to start by being on all fours.
And talk about this? Oh, yeah.
You're going to keep your spine neutral with no sagging or arching. Then you're going to slowly extend your right arm forward and your left arm backwards simultaneously. You're going to keep your hips level and your spine stable. Hold for 5 to 10 seconds while maintaining core engagement and spinal stability. And you're going to slowly return your
rectus spinae for isometric stabilization to resist flexion, the multifidus for isometric control. Then you're doing gluteus maximus and hamstrings for concentric hip extension during leg lift and assist with stability. Then your transverse abdominis and obliques for isometric contractions to maintain neutral spine and resist flexion.
Who's next on the list?
Okay, let's go on.
Yeah, you're right.
Now we're going to be doing the plank dumbbell drag. We're going to start in plank position with each shoulder width apart. With one hand, we're going to drag the dumbbell laterally across the body to the other side. We're going to then return to plank position and use the opposite arm to drag the dumbbell to the other side. While doing this, we're going to keep the hips and legs straight and engaging the core. The muscles being used are core stabilizing muscles, the rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis, internal and external obliques. They're going to contract isometrically to prevent the trunk from rotating. The lateral pull of the dumbbell creates rotation, which is resisted by contracting these muscles. The shoulder stabilizing muscles are going to be the deltoids and the rotator cuff muscles. They're going to contract isometrically to stabilize the body in plank position. They're going to work concentrically to move the dumbbell across the body, and eccentrically to set it back down.
You want to take this?
Okay. So first is you, now we have yours again. Wait, what?
What?
So this is your exercise
I did mine.
for anti-movement?
Yes. And it was mine.
What?
It's your turn. It is.
Okay.
We all did ours.
Okay,
It's
so
the one.
we have the anti-lateral flexion. So we're doing the contralateral split squat hold with a dumbbell. So you're gonna put yourself into a split squat position, knee on the ground, and then the shin parallel to the ground. And then your other leg is upright with the heel planted in the ground for stability. And if you want more of a challenge, you can float. If you want to test that. And then you can go back down because that's very difficult. And then hold the kettlebell in your hand or the dumbbell that has the same leg on the ground, so perfect. And then move it towards the shoulder, which should be more difficult to stabilize up there. And be aware your shoulder height on both shoulders should be as best as they can, so they should be as even as they can right now, which is perfect, which is showing that she's flexing her abs. And then hold out the other arm that has no weights for stabilization. And then the muscles involved for the upper body, we have the shoulder inflection to hold the dumbbell, as well as the bicep inflection, as you can see, to keep the weight stationary, perched on the shoulder. And then we have the pectoralis minor and serratus anterior to help the body stay in isometric contraction. For the chunk, we have obliques, transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, and the erector spinae, which helps keep the core in an upright position when holding the weight. Without proper flexion of these muscles, the spine would begin to bend in certain ways. For the legs, we have the quadricep muscles, glutes, hamstrings, and the gastrocnemius to help the body float up whenever you're holding that one position.
So now we're doing a Russian twist with a dumbbell floor rotation exercise. First, sit on the floor with your knees bent and feet flat. Hold a weight plate, dumbbell, or medicine ball close to your chest, and lean back slightly so your trunk is about 45 degrees from the floor, maintaining a neutral spine. Lift your feet a few inches off the ground and rotate your trunk to the right, moving the weight toward the floor beside your hip. Then rotate to the left through your thoracic spine, not just the arms, keeping the hips stable. Rotate back across to the left side and right side, continue alternating in a controlled rhythmic motion. The muscles worked are the external obliques with contralateral rotation and eccentric control when returning. The internal obliques, the right internal oblique is active when rotating right in a concentric way, and then it is eccentric when resisting return. The rectus abdominis and transverse abdominis, they do an isometric contraction to stabilize the trunk and prevent spinal extension. The erector spinae and multifidus to maintain the trunk in an upright position against gravity. And finally, the hip flexors, like the ellipsoas, rectus femoris, isometric when the feet are lifted, and they help stabilize the pelvis.